Namaste traders. This is an intro of BJ Stairs Walker version 3.0. So I am going to explain you everything starting from the description of the strategy, how to configure, how to look at the back tests and how to deploy it via creating alerts, everything. So basically BJ Stairs Walker is a strategy which is based on following a trend. So once a trend is established, we want to capture a part of that trend. And to do that, what we do is we are configuring a pair of EM with certain lengths, like a 715 or any length like this. And also we look at the same EMS in a higher time frame, like 15 minutes, etc. Right? And then we have a few setups that we have pre-configured. So these are various entry setups depending on various price action and indicator conditions, which we have developed based on a lot of research and development. So these are selectable individually and they can also be combined in a single configuration, like how I have done here for the bullish reversals and something called as a sniper pullbacks. So this is how we can configure it. And then to explain the strategy itself, you can see that here it has captured a reversal on the short side, and it first thought that maybe it's a uptrend, so that's why it went long. And then later, entry conditions have been hit, so it has taken a short trade, and then it trailed the short position as the price of the Bitcoin kept moving down. And finally here it was our target as configured in our settings, and it hit the target, and then it also hit our max target limit for the day, which we had set to maximum 1 target. So after that it stopped trading for rest of that calendar day. And then next day, when the next condition happened for the next entry, it took a long trade, and then it tried to play that trade. In between there was a lot of consolidation, but this strategy is an expert in handling this kind of consolidation period, so it will not trade, right? Using various risk management, entry setups, high probability setups, everything. And this strategy is designed to be super patient for the exact setups to occur. And that's why you can see that although this backtest below, it is showing trades since 2024 December. So last 3 months, it has taken these many trades, 61 trades, and these are the results. Now I will explain how to look at the backtest. So what to look for. But before that, let's also review another setup of the same strategy. So here we have different set of setups selected. There are some differences in the EMAs and some difference in the higher time frame, but it is still running on Bitcoin futures, perpetual futures of Delta Exchange India. And I will explain all the other settings in a bit. First, let's look at the backtest. So in backtest, what we look for is, first of all, we have to configure capital and order size. So in this case, since this is Bitcoin future, I have selected one contract and I have set an initial capital of 10,000. This can be set to anything, but typically we prefer to set it, assuming some leverage. So for example, right now Bitcoin price is hovering around 100,000 USD. So that's why we are assuming initial capital of 10,000, which means if we buy 1 BTC worth of future contracts for $10,000 dollar margin, then that is 1:10, right? Because Bitcoin's actual price is around 100,000. So that is the position sizing, and based on that we have to look at a few parameters which are measured in the backtest. So what is backtest is nothing but trade to trade. What were the results, right? So it will look at all your trades since the beginning of your backtest period, or since the data is available in your TradingView account. It will look at each and every trade, and it is plotting the increments or decrements of your total account size. So you can see on the left hand side bottom, the initial capital was set to $10,000. So this is starting at $10,000. And then as the trade progressed, it will show increases. And overall, this green graph is showing the equity curve of your account. And finally, you can see nowadays it's hovering around 33,000 USD, right? And in terms of drawdowns, once you check this checkbox on the bottom left, it will show inverted purple bars, which are the drawdown phases. Drawdowns are nothing but back-to-back stop losses. When they are hit, it results in some depletion of your accounts, right? So that is the drawdown. And you can see the drawdowns axis is on the right hand side. So you can see that our backtest is showing a max drawdown of 1,500 USD, and this is a 10,000 USD account. So there was a progressive growth of this account, but frequently there were drawdowns as well. So you can see that typically around $1,000 to $1,200 was a normal drawdown. The max drawdown observed was around here, which is $1,500. So this is how you can visualize both the growth of your equity account or equity curve, as well as the various frequent drawdowns, right? And then the next parameter you have to look at, of course, the drawdown has to be a reasonable percentage of your account size. So here it's $1,500 for a $10,000 account, which means we are measuring max drawdown of around 15%. But of course, this is historical backtest, so the drawdown can increase in future as well to beyond 15%. So you have to take a judgment based on your risk appetite, what kind of drawdowns you are willing to tolerate for this particular strategy, this config for this symbol, right? And similarly for any other config, let's say the second config we have, the drawdown is 2500 USD in the same $10,000 account. So in this case, of course, you assume that at least 25% drawdown is going to happen in this account in this particular config. And suppose you are running these two in parallel, then maybe the actual drawdown will be lesser than the individual sums of individual drawdowns, because at various points in time, different configs will perform and they will have winners, while another config will have losers. So overall, this equity curve will be smoothened out if you are running multiple strategies or same strategy, multiple configs, and in multiple markets. In terms of other parameters, the profit factor. Now this profit factor is like your risk reward ratio for the entire period of this. So you can use this I button to understand what it is, and you can see that it is the amount of money the strategy made for every unit of money it lost. So for it made for every $1 it lost at a gross basis for the entire duration of the backtest. So typically this should be at least 1.5 and above. Ideally it should be around 1.75 to anything above that is very good. And after that, you have to look at the win rate. So typically everyone looks at win rate first, but win rate is not that useful a parameter. The main parameter which is useful is your max drawdown and your profit factor. Now win rates, typically anything above like 35 to 40% is considered good, provided your profit factor is high and your drawdown is low, right? And so this is above 50%, so that's also good. And then after that, you have to see, for achieving this kind of result, how many trades it took, right? So this is also important because your charges and taxes are dependent on how many trades you are taking, regardless of your profits and losses. So you also have to keep an eye within how many trades you are achieving this kind of results. And finally, the net profit is a percentage of your original capital, which you configured in the properties, right? Properties initial capital. So you had 10,000. So since net profit accumulated is 22,700, that's why it's showing 227%. Now, in terms of other settings, you also have to set up your trading session times. So between what and what time you want to trade your instrument. In this case, it's Bitcoin, so it's 24/7. That's why we have a almost full day as a trading session. And also we have a no trade zone in case you don't want to follow any entry signals between certain periods of time during the trading session of that instrument. You can configure a no trade zone, and then you can configure whether you want to auto square off at the end of this trading session or you want to carry forward your position. So this checkbox is for that purpose. And of course this Bitcoin, so this doesn't matter because we have configuration. But suppose I had limited this to, let's say, around 8 p.m. UTC. So by the way, all these times are in the exchange time zone by default. So this is not in your time zone, it will be in exchange time zone. So just remember that. You can see on the right hand side below the chart which time zone the symbol is using. So you can configure it based on that. So here I have configured it 8 p.m. closure, right? So if any trade is held till 8 p.m. and this is the beginning of the candle. So 8 p.m. candle of 3 minutes, which means 8 p.m. 8 and 3 minutes, 8 p.m. and 3 minutes will be the square of time, exact square of time for any open positions. Right now I am restoring it back to the original so that we can allow it to trade till the closing of the session. So I'll just cancel it and it will restore it. And anytime you change any setting, you will see that the backtest has been recalculated. So that's how you can get immediate feedback. If you change anything, let's say if I change this EMA to from 7 to 8, what is the impact of my change on the overall results? I can immediately see whether it's a positive result in terms of drawdown and buy or no negative. And based on that, I can take a call which parameters are most ideal for me. Right? And of course, sample settings will be given to you as a sample layout through this link, which I will share. And once you have that link, you will be able to just go and copy that link in your account. So how it looks is, let's say I have shared this URL with you. Then you will see this as a view only mode, but you will have a copy button on the right hand side. So once you press this, it will allow you to save it in your TradingView account, and then you will get an exact copy of all my settings, which I am showing here, or any settings which I give via layout. And of course, after that, you have to just configure the next most important one, which is your risk management. So here we have configured our risk management, as you can see. So we have chosen a percentage. You can also keep it in points. Here I have kept it in percentage. And this max SL is my maximum stop loss. And the max target is again in percentage. So here I have set 0.6% as stop loss and 3% as target. And then we have further couple of other options to use, like a previous candle low high as SL or signal candle low high as SL. So depending on the time frame and other aspects, you can check, uncheck and see the impact on backtest. And similarly on trailing, we have a dynamic mode, which is some internal logic, and there is a offset based trailing. So you can see this red line in the chart. So it started with a 0.6% stop loss. This why it's over here, and as the price moved, the trailing had started. So that is controlled by this particular setting. If I remove this trailing, you will see that the stop loss line will be constant. The red line will be horizontal throughout the trade, which means it has not done any trailing. But when I enable the trailing, and I will see the impact of that also in the results, right? And in the bank's drawdown. So, and trailing, this is the activation point. After this much percentage move in our favor, it will activate the trailing, and this is the offset, means the from the lowest low in case of short and the highest high in case of long, it will calculate an offset to which up to which it will trail. So you can see this red line was loosely following the price because it wanted to allow it to consolidate in between, and then as soon as it moved towards target, it was aggressively trailing. And sometimes, of course, it bounce off and hit trailing stop loss as well. So these settings you can experiment with. And the third most important is your trade limits, right? So how many trades you want to give this bot for trading in a day. So here I have said maximum it should take 2 trades, out of which it can take maximum 1 SL, maximum 1 target, like that you can configure. And after 2%, I want to reduce, let's say, remaining half, right? Something like that, or I can say 1/4. So, and then you can check this option to make it exit partially. So in this case, our target was at 3%, right? But what we are saying is, of course, we have to have enough quantities over here to simulate that. So now you can see that it has at first target, second target, and third target, right? So this is how you can have multiple targets as well. So right now I am not checking that, which means I am preferring a single target. Yeah, okay. So I have restored. So now this is how you can see that it has restored the original backtest which we started with. So now going to the next point, which is the deployment. So for deployment, what we have to do is we have to create alerts in TradingView. So let me just show you how to create alerts. So first of all, so this is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we are using Delta Exchange webhook. So in this case, we have to go here and create a webhook, for which I have posted another video in my channel. So you can go and watch that. Once that is done, you have to come here, and from this backtest add alert, or the 3 dots menu of this our strategy indicator on the chart, you have to say add alert, and here you have to paste your webhook syntax. So I have just pre-created it, so I am just copying and pasting it here. So this is my webhook syntax in the message, right? So this webhook syntax I get from my Delta Exchange. So exactly same I have pasted here. Here I can, it's a free form text, so I can enter anything. So typically I enter the the name of the strategy and for which symbol it is. So this is in BTCUSD, and which time frame it is on, which time frame chart. So this is on 3 minute. Like this I can set, and then I can also set my expiry date and time for my alert to expire. So if I want to expire it, suppose I don't want to expire, then if you have a premium account of TradingView, then the alert can be an open-ended alert. So you can just uncheck this, or rather check this as open-ended, and it will set the non-expiry, means it is a perpetual alert it will set, because in Bitcoin, in Delta Exchange webhook, there is no expiry, right? So that's why you can potentially use an open-ended alert. And the second most important part is the webhook URL. So in TradingView Essential Plans and above, you have to configure this webhook URL for the alerts to send your orders to your particular exchange or your broker, right? So that's why you have to, whatever webhook URL Delta Exchange is giving you, you have to paste it here. And once all this is done, you just press create, and it will show up in this active alerts list. So this list is all the alerts which are created, not triggered yet. And to see the triggered alerts, next to the alerts tab, there is a log tab. So in the log tab, you have to switch, and then you will see all these alerts which were triggered. So that's about BTC, how to deploy and everything. I hope you understood. If you have any questions, you can ask me on WhatsApp. Thank you.